Hey, welcome back to the Restoration Soul Care Podcast. I'm Michael Camber.
And I am Nick Buddha.
And we're glad you're joining us. Today we are kicking off a 4-part series that we're going to be talking about what it looks like to expand, grow, transform, and maybe even just get started with what we call, we have not yet figured out a way to call it. But
we keep calling it community.
Community, support, scaffolding, relational scaffolding. That's way too wordy. Basically, when it comes down to long-term sobriety, one of the key determining factors of that is how you build the support system or community around you as you're pursuing sobriety, so that it's not just you, again, in isolation on your own, but you have people around you who are holding you up, propping you up.
Yeah, and the number one factor that most guys are dealing with in the background is loneliness. It's a significant contributing factor. And what we're going to do in this series is specifically dive into ways that you can acknowledge loneliness in your heart, but then press towards community in a really genuine, uplifting way.
Yeah. So stay tuned. We hope you join us.
Do you do fantasy football?
No, not regularly.
NFL
I have participated. I know you're a big football guy. I wanted to.
Oh, not necessarily.
There's a big group of guys from our church that did a whole thing a couple weeks ago, but I couldn't make it that night. It was on a Thursday night.
I'm doing a league with coworkers, group of 10 guys. My roster is horrible. So I'm like, it is what it is. So.
Yeah. Sorry, I have nothing to add to the fantasy football conversation.
No, it's okay. I'm still learning it
Sorry.
and just trying to enjoy it.
I know that if you are vocal about how little you know or how terrible you are at fantasy football, and then you do like okay, people get very bent out of shape about it.
Oh, I hope to make that happen.
Good.
Especially since, my boss is part of the... And for you listeners, Michael's only one of many bosses I have in my life. Employers, kind of.
I don't know that that's technically how... I don't know if that's how officially or unofficially how this relationship plays out.
This is a partnership of... This is a friendship on a mission.
A fartnership. Friendship, partnership. It's a fartnership.
This week, we are starting a 4-part series on building community in your life. We were trying to think of something clever to pitch it as, but really the truth is, as we end every episode and say, don't do this alone, one thing that we really thought about for listeners is, okay, well, how do I not do it alone?
Right.
And for us, we're saying, okay, you need to be intentional about building a close-knit community who is not just like, oh, they're my crew that we hang out, but actually they're intentionally involved in your growth as a person.
Yeah.
And I would even say specifically your recovery.
Yeah. And I'll push it a step further and say that they need to be a regular part of your life, and they need to bear the weight and the tension of being a regular, integral part of your life. So recovery groups are great, accountability groups are great, but they're only good insofar as you integrate them into your daily life. So if you attend a recovery group or something like that, and you make it like this separate thing that you just go to and you check in and then you check back out of it, it's really only going to do you so good. It's helpful. I'm not saying don't do that, but it has limitations.
Yep.
Just as like you and I have limitations when we show up and do one-on-one work with a client. Like we can help, we can guide, we can coach, we can provide some therapeutic elements of that. But you and I don't bear the weight in that client's life outside of this 1 hour a week or a month or whatever. So it only goes so far.
A mentor of mine used a fairly morbid analogy, and it was actually when we were serving in ministry. But as a young man, he was pouring into me and saying, who will be your pallbearers? Who are the men that are going to show up because they've walked with you? They've been with you in some of the hardest, deepest, darkest, messiest moments, but they're for Nick. And, he was shooting for like 5 to 6. I found like with my personality, it's really more like 3 or 4 maybe.
Yeah.
That I can really invest into that space. But again, the principle stayed with me to say, man, I need guys who, when the crap's hit the fan and it's, 2 a.m. and it's super inconvenient to call, I have guys that I know I can.
Yeah.
And that receiving that phone call is not a burden to them because they're like, you know what? We're there for Nick.
Yeah.
And by God's grace, the Lord has brought those men into my life. Honestly, if I'm being completely transparent, I never really developed those kind of friendships till in my 30s. Because I didn't know how, Michael.
Yep.
And I had to learn through a lot of stumbling, a lot of messiness, and a lot of imperfection. But again, you being one of those guys in my life, man, so worth it to cultivate that space. And I'm sure you would agree with this. We're still learning how to do that well. Yeah. Yeah. So we're not saying, oh, yeah, we got this all down. We don't.
We don't. It's hard. Nick and I talk quite a bit over text, sometimes a phone call. We're starting to try to nail down this rhythm. Sometimes a FaceTime. We're trying. Honestly, the most interaction we get is when we like pass each other in the office, which is not intentional, but like typically like it always turns out great. I mean, just like in the 10 minutes we had upstairs before we came down here was like good for me. Yeah, and it was good for you too. But we're trying to line up like some intentional once a month time where it's, you know, the 3 or 4 of us, we get together and hang out. Yeah, and it's just guy time. Yeah, but even just like taking into account like the frequency with which that can occur, because like we shoot for once a month, it does not always happen because kids, spouse, work, life, something. It's just so difficult to maintain and pursue healthy adult friendships. But it's a worthy endeavor.
It is, and I think depending on what I'm speaking to listeners / viewers, depending on what age you are, what stage of life you are, just what life looks like for you. I want to speak to the person who is similar to us, where we have a lot going on. There's a lot of things and people that demand our attention and time. And what I love that you're getting at is like, if you wait for a community to just happen spontaneously, it won't. It
won't. That's right.
And it doesn't sound very like, I don't know, I almost want to use the word romantic, or like, oh, it just happened. There was this cool thing. Man, that's Hollywood. Really, I would reiterate what you're just saying and saying, I would need community in my life. So therefore, like, this is the way it works for you and I, is like, hey, let's look 3 weeks out. Let's carve out a time and guard it that we're going to come together. Yeah. And sometimes not to do more work, but just to be like, hey, this is just time for us to be. Yeah. And we're going to guard it and protect it and put it on our calendar. I think that's okay. I think it's a really good thing to practice that rhythm of saying, I'm putting it on my calendar and I'm going to guard it.
Yeah. Here's what else I'll say. Hot take. Well, it's not even a hot take. Take this for what it is. We have not attended the same church for nearly 6 years.
Correct. Which makes it even more difficult to be present with each other, right? Yeah. Because we have 2 different local church families. Yeah, and the other thing that's difficult, which I don't know if our audience would care, it's very easy to slip into a rhythm of a relationship being focused on production versus presence. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, especially with guys, I notice their quote unquote closest relationships are maybe guys they work with or play on a team with or do a game night with. But really the focus of that relationship is just what you're doing. It's not really being yourself with them. Yeah. So as we go through these 4 weeks on community, I think these will be 4 really practical things that you're like, man, I could run with that. Yeah. I could, with some courage, with some bravery, I could step towards that. And by doing these 4 things, really intimate, genuine, and I would even say Jesus-centered, gospel-centered. I hate using these church phrases sometimes. The biblical definition of community will happen, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Yeah. The first factor that we're going to talk about for community is actually the whole foundation of it all. And it's the idea of trust. Yep. I have heard that trust is described as the currency of relationship. And what is implied there is that if trust is happening, genuine trust, meaning, man, I'm trying to even say what that would look like. If I trust you, that means the vulnerable, messy, hard parts of me, I allow you to hold it. I allow you to have space there.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Here's all of me. You have the opportunity to shame me, to dismiss me, to make fun. And man, that's the definition of trust. Here's all of me. What are you going to do with it?
Don't hurt me.
Yeah, I'm giving you myself. Yeah. Well, just like you mentioned, so we often say trust is the deepest forms of trust is not just blanketly given, it's developed. Yeah. And you just named the 3 ingredients that we love to tell guys. How do you build trust? How do you invest into it? And you talked about honesty, you talked about vulnerability, and you talked about risk. And so let's slow down a little bit because we could maybe have an idea of what some of those things mean, but I think in a relational context, it's good to flesh it out. When we talk about honesty, you jump in and just interrupt. I think of the fact of saying, I'm going to show up as the real me. We've talked about it in this podcast before. We can, especially struggling with a shameful behavior, we can easily put on masks to be presentable, to hide some of our shameful parts. And trust requires you truly show up as yourself.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about honesty in the things you're saying. Of course, that's true. That's part of it. But really the greater view of honesty is I can be myself.
Well, hopefully the people you open yourself up to getting kicked are people who are less likely to kick you. That's the idea of trust. So, and to be clear, Nick Buddha is not for everyone. And not everyone is for Nick Buddha.
Correct.
You weren't built or made to have relationships with the other 7 point whatever billion people are on the planet. You're built for a small community of people.
Yeah.
And that's who you got to figure out how to show up to. But when we talk about honesty, there's three capacities that are 3 ways, spaces for you to be honest to. One is to yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. And I know a lot of this, we'll go big picture, but like this is for the purpose of how we're tackling like a pornography addiction. So first way that we have to be honest is with ourselves. We have to answer the question, what are you actually doing? And this is part of the work that we do when we build out a relapse prevention plan. This is part of the work we do when we do awareness and self-reflection. But we have to get super honest with our behavior. What have we been doing? What have our thoughts been like? Yeah. What are we feeling? And then, what are we sensing from the Lord? But it's being honest about what's actually going on. We have to be honest with ourselves if we're going to follow up with the next part of this, which is the real invitation, to get honest with other people.
Yeah.
And when you can be honest with yourself, then you have the opportunity to take what that is and be honest with other people. And then ultimately, we want to be honest with God too, right? There's a confession of our self-disclosure of ourselves, our behavior and things like that. But honesty plays out in those 3 capacities, and they all build on each other, but they also necessitate each other.
Yeah.
For example, if you're only honest with yourself, you're still in isolation, and that doesn't do you any good.
Right.
If you're only honest with other people, that can maybe be a little dangerous because you're just yapping about things that are true, and you don't really have any real cognition or you're not cognizant of like how that's actually playing out internally.
Yeah. You're probably deceived.
Yeah. And we talked about this self-deception.
Yeah.
I said the word self-deception 30 times in the last episode. So
count them.
But it's gone.
Yeah.
Starting a new tally.
I'd say this honesty with yourself is probably the hardest step. And it takes the most work because let me speak firsthand for myself. I didn't realize the depth or the degree to which I did deceive myself, that I did disconnect from the real Nick, because it wasn't a pleasant Nick to look at, to be honest. And so when someone talked about just making sense of where I was in the present, I remember first connecting with a CSAT, which is a certified sexual addiction therapist. And just, I think of the AA term or the 12-step term of taking a ruthless inventory of like where I'm at and present tense and where I've been. Man, that was tough to slow that down and not rush over things, but then also to own, where does this leave me? Like you mentioned, what emotions have I been feeling lately? What are the kind of thoughts that have been going through my mind? How do I show up relationally? I had never taken the time. I was just go, kind of get through each day. And again, our culture will continue to push that. Just produce, keep your head down and do what you need to do. There's no time for reflection or self-observation, when really, man, it's so needed. Even some of the Reformation leaders, John Calvin, others, they talked about an inability to genuinely enter in relationship with God without having a knowledge of self.
Yeah.
Because the mindset behind it is, if you engage with God and others out of a unreflected, dishonest, or disconnected view of self, then you're not truly connecting. It's a pseudo relationship. It's a functional relationship.
It's not real.
So this plant is poking me. I just want to let you know about that.
Fern!
I'm being honest.
Thank you. Yeah. Self-deception is really, really tough, because if you're deceived, you don't know that you're deceived.
Yeah.
So it can look something like, I don't actually have a problem with pornography. It's not really that big of a deal. I can quit anytime I want. As long as nobody finds out, I'm good. Or if I quit now, then I won't actually have to tell anybody or confess it. It can just be something that I did a long time ago.
Yeah.
So these are all various things I've said over the years, and they're all ways of saying the same thing, which is, I'm deceived about the real impact that this thing is having on me.
Yeah.
And when you can come to terms with those, I can't quit anytime I want. I do have to confess this if I'm going to get help. When we can land on those things, we open ourselves up to the possibility that something could change and that something could be different. Because as long as we stay stuck in self-deception, like, things just will never change.
That's right. And we want to remind guys, anybody, that the barrier, the pushback of being honest with myself, God, and others is shame. Toxic shame. I should be specific. Yeah. But it's saying, like, I can't own the fact that I'm a wreck, because I feel like that would just devastate me. It would not only devastate me and make me so shameful, it would also cause others to abandon me, and then God will be, you fill in the blank. But what we're doing is fighting that knot in the addiction cycle and saying, no, it's actually good to be honest. It's good to recognize my weakness, my brokenness, my sin. Because that's, not only is it reality, but it's also the bridge by which I can enter in the most beautiful thing, which is relationship.
Yeah.
And leave the land of isolation.
Yeah.
So if you see the pushback, just know it's toxic shame coming at you.
Yeah.
Coming at you hot. And it's also toxic shame that says, well, Nick, if you share, like I did before we recorded today, that Nick, you're worn out, you're feeling spent, you don't have a lot in the tank. Michael's going to be frustrated, and he's going to be, I don't know, he's not going to trust you with things, or that's shame, because it's a total mistrust of Michael. And it could lead me to be like, oh, I'm great, Michael. I'm good. And I'm just going to push through. And Michael's not connecting with the real Nick.
Yeah.
In that space. Honesty, huge ingredient. And I think a practical step, if a guy's looking, well, how do I do that? I think, man, if you haven't already, one of the first things we do with guys too is what you mentioned, is sitting down with a paper and pencil and writing out even specifically your sexual story up to this point.
Yeah.
What are the things that you don't like thinking about where you're at currently? And then what was the journey here? Where have you been? And to write that out even for yourself, I think is a really great exercise to begin to be honest.
Yeah.
What would you say is the difference between honesty and vulnerability?
Yeah.
Because they sound similar.
They do sound similar. Vulnerability is practicing honesty in relationship.
Yeah.
So if you're being honest with yourself, a way that you are vulnerable is to trust someone with that truth.
Yeah.
With the truth of who you are.
Yeah.
So telling the truth in relationship is an act of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because it's setting yourself up for harm. And I know it's hard to talk about any of these three things without connecting to the others, because they are so connected. But I don't have my phone. What? You asked me to define something a few weeks ago, and you didn't end up using it in the notes, but I remember thinking, like, oh, I really like that.
It's actually,
was it risk?
It was risk. So we'll get there.
We'll come back to it.
We'll come back. this made sense to me last time we recorded this, so I'm going to bring it up again.
Do it.
When I think about the difference between honesty and vulnerability, there's a difference between being myself with a person and the depth to which I bring them into that journey. So you can always be honest with people, but always hold them at great length to say, like, I'll be real with you, but I'm not going to share much. I'm not going to reveal. The analogy I used was we're constantly trying to be mindful of the fact that God has put us in a great neighborhood. We want to connect with people. There's a difference to me, like as I'm sitting on my front porch on one of our little rocking chairs and having a conversation with my neighbor. How's it going? Talk about sports, talk about weather. I can be honest. I can even say, hey, yeah, work's been stressful. That's cool. It's a whole other thing to bring that neighbor then into what's the entry room of our house and have a conversation. And then it's even a whole other thing to invite them over for dinner with my family and see how our household functions. That's what I think about vulnerability. It's letting them into deeper and deeper spaces of ourselves. And like you said earlier, we are not encouraging that you do that with all people.
Right.
We are encouraging that you do that with trustworthy, reliable people.
Yes.
So, I want to jump to risk right now because that sums up that journey of like, should I do it with this person? Maybe. But before we get there, I would say, again, the need for vulnerability is any place that we close off from God or others or ourselves will always be isolated. Mm-hmm. And I want to use the term unaddressed, but I want to be more specific and just almost like unnurtured.
Yeah.
It's like, I was going to say it's like almost raising one of your children in a closet. Like you can't interact in the world. Just we're going to hold you here. We don't want anyone to see you.
That's an interesting way of putting it, though. Say more about that. Like, what is it? What do you mean for like that part of you to go unnurtured?
Yeah, and I'm thinking of okay, I will reveal something super vulnerable.
Okay.
For everybody here. One aspect of my story is feeling that Nick is not enough. And specifically, it was a series of experiences in my family of origin and with my dad. And it was more done by absence of things than intentional. My dad tearing me down. Actually, my dad built me up all the time. He was present in my life. And I won't go into all the details because that's not my story to tell here. But Nick downloaded a message that maybe Nick's not enough. Like there's something wrong with him. Because he didn't experience the attention or the nurture, I should say, that he was really craving. Didn't feel like there was space for it. And so that dynamic, I think we've even talked about this on this podcast before, will show up present day in different ways. So it's almost a vulnerability. Let's use IFS language. It's kind of an exile in me. It's a wounded part of me that still needs some ongoing care and attention.
Yeah.
This is my lack of sleep coming in here. What did you say say more about the kid in the closet is what you said?
The part of you that needs, that when we keep that part of ourselves isolated, it misses out or goes without being nurtured.
Okay. Yes. So that part of Nick is important, not convenient in relationship.
Yeah.
Especially to own it when it's showing up. Like if I felt hurt by a dynamic or if I'm really just needing more of someone's attention, like from say one of you guys in my life, I can shove that into the closet and not own it and then just sit there and it actually grows. The pain of it grows, the voice of it grows because it's crying out to be heard and seen. But until I bring it and own it to say you or the other two guys, Jack, Tyler, I'm just going to name them.
The boys.
The boys. That is the only way I can be cared for. That part of me can experience healing and wholeness. Yeah. I feel like I blabber on about that, but I feel like it's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
That's helpful. That's important. So what you're saying is there's a part of you that when left in isolation, like you can put on a good front and a good face and show up and like, you know, you've got some good 7 energy, so you can show up with a party on your face.
Yeah.
And just totally shove that away. But in doing so, it's not like that part of you goes away or even like quiets down. It's just sort of festering and growing under the surface.
Yeah.
Because you're in proximity relationally with people that you do love and trust, but there's a part of you that's like, I'm not really doing okay, and so I'm choosing to hide this so that we don't have to go there right now. Yes. When really the invitation is you're with people that you trust, and you can bring that part of you to us, with us anytime, and our reaction is never going to be, you dirtbag, we were trying to have a good time. What do you think you're doing?
You're just a burden to us.
Yeah, don't do that. You know,
I think the hardest thing about vulnerability is it usually results in either an explicit or an implicit communication of I need. Mm-hmm. Because vulnerability will reveal that we're not enough, or that we have weaknesses or struggles or something. Yeah. And those imply, well, I need something.
Yeah.
And that's really hard for us to admit.
It is hard.
I'm learning that myself, that my vulnerability usually comes with a question I'm longing to ask. And my former counselor would always say, Nick, have you vocalized that? You know, have you brought that to the person? I remember, man, here's a way vulnerability showed up even within my own family with my wife, is I would come home and feel like I need to continue to perform for people. Again, to be enough. Is Nick enough? And where it would translate into is like, well, then I need to help with dishes. I need to help with cooking dinner. I need to be present fully for all my daughters. And there's no space for Nick to just like breathe for a moment.
Yeah.
And so Cliff said, you ever thought about asking them, is it okay if I take a 15-minute nap? Or is it okay if I just go for a walk? Or is it okay if I just leave those dishes undone?
Yeah.
For a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, dude, that's so stupid. Of course it's okay. But then he challenged me and said, well, like, obviously your heart feels it's not okay. Because why would you be feeling and acting the way you do?
Yeah.
And I was like, dang it, Cliff.
Got him.
So the beauty of the exercise was not that I needed that information, but I was choosing to be vulnerable and saying, hey, Allie, is it okay? Am I letting you down? Are you burdened if I fill in the blank with anything I mentioned? And giving her permission to be in that space, to know that I'm feeling that, thinking that, and to also say, no. yeah, I'm not burdened by that.
Yeah.
That's what my heart needed.
Yeah. And then you receive the gift, the gift of relationship.
Versus just accommodating and not acknowledging it and doing the exhausting dance of stressing out.
Yeah. And you're saying a whole lot of stuff around this point that I want to make crystal clear. The why of honesty, the why of vulnerability, the why of risk is relationship. Yep. They are in service of keeping you in relationship.
Yeah.
Because when you're not honest, you're not vulnerable, and you don't take that risk, you don't get relationship.
Yeah.
You feel because you need something in relationship. You have needs because needs keep you in relationship. If you never need anything, you're not in relationship.
Right.
And like all these things are on purpose.
We're using the word relationship here. Where actually you could interchange that easily with trust.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Just focusing and actually we intentionally interchange those because again, you can't have one without the other. Like if you deeply trust something, you have a relationship with it.
Right.
And if there's no trust, really, there's no relationship. Yeah. And I'm sure listeners, viewers are thinking too, man, that makes so much sense. If I'm honest with somebody and someone stewards that space really well, and if I'm continuing to grow in vulnerability with them and they're able to hold that space well and show up well, trust just happens. Like it doesn't need to be this mechanical thing. It just forms. And it also gives people encouragement to say, man, I trusted them, or I I was honest and vulnerable with them with this, and man, it was so good. And they gave me the gift of whatever it may be in that moment, affirmation or security. I'm going to trust them with more.
Yeah.
So that's what we're getting at. As we're coming here to a close, let's talk a little bit about the last one. Do we have the sheet? Risk.
You don't have a phone. You threw it away earlier. Nick's phoneless now.
I'm practicing my micro monasticism.
That's it.
That's a Cliff Rothism.
Sometimes I will dwell on an idea for months and then start talking about it in front of Cliff, and he'll be like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
dang it, Cliff.
That's it.
It's week 26, by the way.
Listen, I'll happily get to week 26, but I do want to read what I wrote about it. Because yeah. You texted me, could you give me a rough explanation of quote unquote risk? Yep. And I said, intentionally exposing yourself to potential hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Exposing yourself on purpose to possibly being hurt.
Yep.
That's risk. And now I have the document. How did you actually put this in here? Risk refers to the courageous actions we take to be honest and vulnerable in a relationship. It is risky because we cannot control the outcome or the reaction of others. The beauty of risk is that it often creates space for others to be honest and vulnerable as well.
Wait, slow that down. That's good. And actually, full confession, I asked for AI to expand on the original definition that I had written down. So
I gave you gold and you went for crap. I'm kidding.
The courageous actions. So say what again?
Yeah, the courageous actions we take to be honest and vulnerable in relationships.
Yep.
It is risky because we cannot control the outcome or the reaction of others.
Yes, that's right.
You can't even control how others feel. Well, that's a hot take. We'll come back to that. The beauty of risk is that it often creates space for others to be honest and vulnerable as well.
That's right. Which we just hinted at.
Yeah.
So risk is the actions that bring honesty and bring vulnerability to that relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a risk just to show up. Like I think a lot of times when we think about risk, we're thinking about a conversation or revealing something. But I think it's a risk to not hide.
Yeah.
Michael and I were talking about this before the show. Our personality style is as such. We both score fairly high as Enneagram 9s. That when we are feeling depleted or when we're feeling overstimulated or just like, man, there's just so much, we want to retreat.
Yeah.
And we want to isolate.
Yeah.
And I think, man, it's really risky to show up in that depleted state. When you don't have a lot, you can't be this happy-go-lucky guy and come with a lot of witty jokes and engaging conversation. But just say, but I'm here. That's risky.
Yeah.
Because, again, you don't have control of how people will perceive it or what they will do with it.
Right.
What are other ways that are great ways to take risks?
Yeah, well, I like that, showing up sort of whether you feel like it or not, just being present. Man, honestly, what I try to remind people of, like, the hardest part is just getting started.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking, I'm not sure where to start or how to start, like, just go to somebody that you trust and just start talking.
Yeah.
Tell them where you've been. I can give like a short framework. Cliff gave me this a while back, and I've loved it and I've abused the heck out of it. So if we're trying to think of like, well, how do I take a step in the area of honesty and vulnerability and risk in relationship? We call it a 4D check-in.
Yeah.
So it's 4 capacities: head, heart, body, spirit. So head, what you're going to just share. What have my thoughts been like this week or today?
On your mind.
What's been on my mind? Heart, what have I been feeling lately? Have there been any dominant feelings this week? Have I been particularly angry? Have I been particularly sad or lonely? Body, what have I been doing Where have I been? What have I been doing with my body? Have I been to the gym? Have I been walking? Have I been exercising? Have I been touching myself maybe inappropriately or excessively?
Or is your body just tired?
Or is your body tired?
Hard.
Yeah.
My lower back hurts. I don't know.
Yeah. Things like that. What have you been doing? What have you been doing in your body? And then fourth, what have you been sensing from the Lord? What are you sensing? What are you noticing in your spirit? Do you feel like God's calling you to anything? Do you feel like God's saying, hey, don't do that. Hey, do this. When you do that, like all of those things are pretty vulnerable because they're not things that people can discern about you or from you without you opening your mouth.
Yeah.
Like they can read body language, but they don't, like there's sort of some object permanence. If you're not in front of them, they don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you're feeling. They don't know what you're sensing from the Lord. Like all of those things have to be disclosed by you to another person.
Yeah.
And if you're being honest, that is an act of vulnerability because, again, nobody can just read your mind. Nobody can read what you're feeling, and nobody can tell you where you've been and what you've been doing. Like these are things that you have to, one, be honest about, but two, it might require some reflection. It might require you to think for a few minutes. Well, what have I actually been thinking about this week? What have I been feeling this week? Where have I been this week?
Yeah.
Have I been paying attention to what, the Spirit is doing in me this week? And if the answer is like, I don't know, okay, well, maybe the invitation is to slow down for a minute. And, I'm a big fan of journaling. I'll always encourage you to do that. Write those 4 categories down and just try to answer that.
Yeah.
What has it been like this week? And then find somebody you trust and then just share that.
I don't think it has to look like this really intense conversation.
Doesn't.
Like I'm thinking about how this might play out. I'm thinking of the guy that's like, man, that sounds so weird and awkward to have that 4D conversation. Here's what it could look like. Step 1 would be acknowledging again, I need relationship, like real, genuine, deeper relationship in my life. I need a community in my life. And maybe there's a guy that you're like, I would be willing to pursue that with that guy. Like I respect him. We connect. And usually with guys, there's a connection point over something practical. They both like football. They both work together. So using that, I'm not saying it's bad, but using that superficial connection point to your favor is good. Like I'm just thinking, we just talked about football at the beginning of this episode.
You talked about football.
I did. So I'll go back to it. What if the rhythm was, hey, we both like football, college or NFL. What if we just agree, like at least once a month, maybe once a week, we're going to watch a game together. I'll go to your house, you can come to my house. And maybe over halftime, we're going to pause for just a few minutes to do just even a low version of that 4D check-in. Like, hey, man, what's been on your mind this week?
Yeah.
What's been on your heart? Where are you at with the Lord? And what am I missing?
Body.
Yeah. Where you been?
Where you been? What have you been up to?
What have you been? How's your physical state? And then it doesn't have to be the whole brunt of the conversation. And it's natural. Or like talk through it naturally over the course of the game. Like, yeah, man, I've been thinking a lot about this. And like that's the way relationship is built. It should be more natural than this forced, okay, we're going to talk about our heart now. Like it's not like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's, I think, the rhythm we've stumbled upon too. It doesn't sound very sexy, but for us, we put it on the calendar. The 4 of us guys try to get together, and we don't even go through a structured exercise. But I've noticed every time that we start talking, there's a beautiful interplay of nonsense and humor and joy and just laughing together and whatever of the moment.
Yeah.
With a lot of just, and then suddenly it'll go really deep. And then everyone will enter into that depth. And we've stumbled up across that rhythm over years of friendship together. But that's how natural it can be and should be, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
We are running. I have a client in 5 minutes.
Whoa. You just want to have him?
Sure, just throw him on here.
Yeah.
Honesty, vulnerability. Honesty plus vulnerability plus risk equals trust. Start there. That's the foundation of relationship. As we look to future weeks, we're going to talk about accountability.
Yeah.
That's a common word in recovery circles, but really what it should be. So accountability, care, and then also this idea of celebration, which is interesting. So stick with the series. I think you'll really benefit a lot from it.
Yeah.
And please feel free to reach out to us if we can serve you, help you in any way.
Love you. Pray for you. rscky.com. You can find all of our contact info there and other resources that we're pumping out.
At Mike Camber.
On Instagram, yep. At Nick W. Buddha.
That's great. Do not go at this alone. And if we can be a part of supporting you, we, again, want to say, just let us know how. We care about you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you guys next time.